Hey, you guys. So today I am doing my Copland review, and um, yeah, this movie is what you guys voted for in the polls. If you're subscribed to my channel and you guys voted, you get this was of out of votes. This had 75 three the votes. So I watched it and I'll give you guys my thoughts. So the main thing about the story is, so we got Sylvester Stallone, the sheriff of Copland, where all the cops live, and all the cops live there and live like a life with their family. And then he dates one cop uh, that he's liked for a long time, that he actually saved the life of her back then. Sylvester Stallone's character did, and then he's trying to date her, and then he has some feud with other cops because he thinks he's trying to bring them down, and then has to have a big fight at the ending of the movie. So let's start off with the good. So speaking of the good, so I'm doing this stuff with my polls every week that I do movies, because this is like the only week I'm planning to do 4 movies for a while at least, because I get busy and I was rushing it on these. But to do these, so I'll do like the good, the bad, and then usually that's it, because then the third movie is usually what they pick as the final movie. But for the good movie this week, out of the 4 movies, was David Fincher, the Zodiac. So in the beginning, so Fincher is one of my favorite directors of all time. Fight Club, Social Network, Seven. Um, I still haven't watched The Killer. I haven't finished it yet, but that's pretty good so far. So he hasn't made a miss for me yet, but I haven't watched all his movies yet. But when I heard Fincher was part of it, I was like, ooh. And then I heard Jake Gyllenhaal, because there's actually someone in my letterbox comments. He's like, well, you like Nightcrawler and you like Prisoners, so you made like Zodiac. I'm like, Fincher and Jake Gyllenhaal. Okay, I'm gonna give it a shot. And then I didn't really have a date for it, like, because I usually plan out when I watch movies, but I was like, huh, I don't have a plan for this one. So I was planning to do it like summer next year or later next year. But yeah, it was well, not really surprisingly, because I watched the trailer recently, like right before I watched it, like a day before. I'm like, ooh, this thing looks really good. And then I saw that had Mark Buffalo and RDJ. I'm like, this movie has a chance on being really good. And then, but it's also based off the true story of the Zodiac murders. That also caught me in a place that I thought was good, and I really enjoyed. And this is probably one of my favorite movies of all time. But yeah, that's just how I felt about it. And yeah, thanks for seeing this part. And I'm gonna go back to the good of my Copland review. So the good stuff is uh the slices. So the thing that got me really into this movie, because the reason I put it at a poll, is because I thought that it looked interesting. Because it has James Mangold, which he directed Logan, Ford versus Ferrari, and Walk the Line. That's the other one. And so that kind of caught me by attention because so far I loved his work with Logan, and the Wolverine is okay, and Ford vs Ferrari. I loved them, and I have a poll for Walk the Line for next week if I get the sound time, but I may already have chosen it because right now it's winning. But they caught me with that, and then Sylvester Stallone. He's one of my favorite actors, and ever since I watched the first 3 Rainbows, I still haven't watched 4 or 5 yet. But those ones caught me by surprise, and then after that, I'm all committed to this. So then I saw Copland was in there. I'm like, that looks interesting. But and then that was like the first thing that I'm like, ooh. And then I watched the trailer. Trailer looked great. It was like, ooh, like cop kind of betraying other cops. And then like it had De Niro. His first name's Ray. I forgot his, but he's been in a lot of movies. So pretty stacked cast. And then, it was also like cop thing, which I'm kind of into, like cop shows ish. And then, like, but then when I watched the movie, I was like, this isn't what I really thought it was gonna be. But I don't know. It wasn't what I thought it was gonna be. And then, but then the ending was great. I really enjoyed how he finally just like had enough and did what he did at the end, no matter the consequences. But going on to the so the bad movie for the week, which isn't really, it's still one of my probably favorite movies. Maybe I don't know, it's on like the border, but it's The Ideas of March, which it's a George Clooney wrote and directed with Ryan Gosling as main star. But I was not expecting the great performances from this movie with Ryan Gosling, I just lost it. George Clooney. And then it had I don't know, it was like I don't know her name, but it was Ryan Gosling's character's girlfriend, and like a great supporting cast. That's what I'm pretty much saying to support this film, and it's only like a little bit over an hour and a half, but it was really good. I was surprised how good it was. I mean, I watched it at like 12 o'clock in the morning, but it was still really good. Though I was like beat tired, but but the story, it was kind of like a political movie, but then it wasn't like all politics. It was kind of like also bringing in like revenge, not truthfulness, all that stuff, which I thought was really good. Um, but yeah, I thought that it was really good on how they did everything, and I really enjoyed it. I would recommend it to people. It's just probably the weakest I've watched this week. But I'm gonna go back to the bad for Copland, and then But thanks for watching this part, and see you guys in a second. So the bad stuff with this movie is I didn't really care for the romance part. I was like, okay. Like, it was weird that, like, right after the guy died, he tried to, like, get with the dead guy's wife. Like, okay. Um, but then, like, the cops, they were, like, I liked how it, like, showed what happens to the cops after, like, they're done being a cop for the day. But it was still, like, I don't know, it was just kind of weird. Then, like, it's such a forgettable movie. Like, after, like, every 10 minutes, I forget what happened 10 minutes before. I'm like, it was all like a blur to, like, the end. The ending, I really like. And then I just, like, took out bits and pieces from it. But but that's, like, all the bad stuff. But on to the conclusion. So the conclusion, which I usually won't have another movie after I'm done with the bad for the movie, but since I accidentally did 4 this time, I did the one that was the 1/4 of the people who voted for this one, which is Baby Driver. Which at first I'm like, okay, this looks okay, but then I was talking to my cousin and he watched it and he's like, yeah, this is one of my favorite movies of all time. I'm like, and me and him pretty much have about the same, like, stuff that about we like movies about the usually about the same movies. But yeah, but this one, it was great. So the stuff I'll get out of the way first, like the story. It's like about a getaway driver, which usually, like, when you think of a bank heist, you think of the people with the guns, not the driver who, like, drives away and tries to get away from the police. You usually don't think of that, unless if you're, like, playing GTA. But then the cast was great. The performances, I don't know, like, any of the cast name other than, like, Jamie Foxx. But but uh but then the sequences with the car was awesome. The other sequences, like with the guns and stuff, was really cool. And the ending was awesome, but kind of sad at, like, the final minute of the movie. But overall, it was a really good movie, I thought. And I kind of wish it won, as you'll see in my conclusion, where I rank this one is one of my favorite films of all time now. But this one is great. I would highly recommend it. And after watching Copland, I kind of wish this would have won, but I still understand why Copland won. And you guys could see what I mean, because this one I think is, like, either 9.5 out of 10 or 10 out of 10. But you'll see what I get to the Copland, and you'll see why I say that. But yeah, but so thanks for watching, guys, and see you guys in the next, like, minute or second, or I don't know. I'll see you guys in a sec. The conclusion. So the conclusion is Sylvester Stallone, great as normal. The rest of the cast that is said that was supposed to be in there, it really didn't seem like they were in there as much as they were, like, saying, boom, they're here. It's more just Sylvester Stallone, like, random people. And then Mangold, for this being, like, his first film, I'm pretty sure. I think it was his first film. But it's a good first film for him. But it's not a great film. I can see why a lot of people like the film. It's just, it kind of failed me in a way. But I give it a 7.5 out of 10 as my final ranking for it, review. Me. But yeah, it's just, I could see where people liked it, but it just kind of disappointed me. But leave how you guys felt about Copland in the comments below, and I will hopefully, because sometimes I forget about the comments, I will hopefully get back to you soon and tell you either why I agree with you or why I disagree with you, or I'm like, I understand that, or just tell me like anything. And thanks for watching, and see you guys in the next video.